Today, let's talk about the interrelationship between the pleasure of sex and the mind. The zest mind exists within the mind, supplying energy to the mind and the body. When the zest mind is activated, you can have feelings of happiness in the mind or pleasure in the body. When sexuality energizes the mind, it can create positive feelings by healing wounds in the mind to create feelings of comfort and happiness. And when sex energizes the body, it can create pleasurable sensations in the sensory organs or make the body healthy. When these actions are out of order and distorted, they can disrupt the psychology that works in the mind and cause illness or sexual dysfunction in the body. When this activation of sexuality is biased toward one or the other, between the body and the mind, energy is lost in the other. In the case of women, once they are married and have a solid sense of stability in their minds, the pleasure of sex felt in the body becomes unnecessary. Surprisingly, women's zest mind works for the happiness of the mind, so when a woman feels she has fulfilled meanings of life with her husband and children, there is no reason for her sexuality to be activated. On the other hand, women who have a lot of wounds to heal, or who are not yet married and have not yet created meanings in their lives, live with a passion for sex. But what happens if a woman's zest energy is activated only for the body and not for the mind? The mind loses its function and role as the energy is not fed to the mind. So the feelings of love and happiness, or the social norms and controls that operate in the mind, all lose their meaning, and she lives solely to feel pleasure from the sensory organs in the body. In other words, she becomes psychologically disturbed and live her life solely for the pleasure of sex. Men, on the other hand, do not generate emotional energy from their zest mind. Their minds are conceptual minds that process only facts and temporary moods. Man's zest mind is biased to direct its energy toward feeling pleasure in the sensory organs of the body in the first place. Man's love is not connected to sexuality, and men value the pleasure of sex for its own sake. Men use sex as a vehicle to activate the woman's zest mind, and women use sex with men to create feelings of happiness and love in their minds. When a man's passion for sex creates the feelings of happiness in a woman, he can create a mood energy called passion based on the woman's emotional energy. In this way, a man's passion is generated by doing something for his woman, using his heart and his sexuality as a vehicle. So ironically, men don't connect sexuality with their own emotion because their sexuality is supposed to be a tool to create happiness in women. If this mechanism is disrupted, if a man has sex for his own pleasure and not for the happiness of the woman he's with, he becomes overly sexualized and develops psychological disorders and sexual dysfunction. This is what happens when men begin to perceive women as tools for their own pleasure. Normal women use sex to create emotional energy in their minds, so it's very important for them to have a sexual partner who doesn't see them as a tool for pleasure, but who can help create feelings of happiness and protect them. Connecting emotions to sexuality is what women need. When a man and a woman meet and marry to protect each other's bodies and minds, the woman fulfills meanings of life and feels stable, and she doesn't need sexuality to work for her. Then the man's passion for creating happiness for the woman can become misdirected, and he wants to use sex for his own pleasure. If you don't understand this mechanism, all kinds of sexual problems, marital problems, and social problems will arise. No matter how stable a woman's mind is, She should know that she can strengthen her emotional energy for happiness and love through the work of her zest mind. So she should never stop activating sexuality with the person she loves for her own happiness. It's good to keep in mind that a woman can continue to live the happiest life until the moment she dies by activating both her zest mind and her mind at the same time.